Carolyn Fielder Nierenberg. Carolyn and Doug have known each other for 44 years, and they're not divorced. That's quite a record. I wonder how many people have been married here that long. Very few, probably. But since 1972, Doug and Carolyn have worked together. The business has evolved in many ways. I'm talking about a technical standpoint now, from hand drafting to computer designing. I mean, that was a jump. From photos from cameras when the photos had to be actually developed, to now we take photos with our iPhones and we do lots of texting. They did Skyping, and they stayed up with technology, which made the job easier and more effective. And through it all, they remained friends and business associates the entire time. One of the great relief for Doug was that in September of 2014, Carolyn took over the business, and he says, and I am so relieved, so pleased. He didn't have to worry about that. So yes. And Carolyn must be a pretty special person if he selected her in the first place, and he maintained that presentation. So let's make her feel welcome as she comes to talk.
I'm going to try very hard not to fall off this stage. Thank you, John. There you are. I've asked the crew from Campbell Design to join me tonight to share some memories of our experiences with Doug, so you can put faces with names. Angie Matheson, she is our office manager who has to do all the financials that Doug and I intensely dislike. And she works every single day with a smile doing the things we hate. Kimberly Butts, she's our production manager. She gets the badge of honor for trying to keep all the pricing, orders, and installations going smoothly. She has to tolerate 2 designers, her always overloaded, in our 60s, losing our short-term memories a little more every single day. Julie O'Connor is joining us in the audience. She has rejoined us 3 weeks ago as another interior designer after being away for 4 years and having a baby earlier this year. We're so glad she is here to keep Doug on his toes. And Erin Longest, our very youngest interior designer. She has the challenge of balancing all the projects we are working on, along with her own projects. But she shares the love of design that Doug and I do, and she tries, mind you, tries, to keep Doug organized. This is a fairly impossible task. But she tries every single morning. She walks in, tries to get us organized, doesn't, but tries.
As you heard, I'm Erin Longest, and I have had the absolute privilege of working with Doug and Carolyn for the last 5 years. They took me on straight out of college, and I can honestly say that they taught me everything I know. So how I'm going to forget all of that and learn it the right way is yet to be seen. But as most of you know, Doug and Carolyn are both Tulsa natives and graduates of Oklahoma State University's Interior Design program. They each started their career with J. Richard Blissett Interiors in 1969 and 1972, respectively. But the real magic started when Doug bravely formed Campbell Design Associates, Inc. in 1977, when he was just 29 years old, from his dining room table. There, he and Carolyn built what can now only be called a booming interior design business, serving both residential and commercial projects in Tulsa and across the United States. So although you might see Doug in the same button-down and slacks from 1977, not tonight though, his less is more philosophy has become nothing short of a movement.
On an average morning, you can catch Doug filling his big Quick Trip cup with unsweetened green tea. Always a refill, never a new cup or straw. From his Quick Trip reloadable card for a fast transaction. We all have to do our part to recycle and reuse and save the planet, as Doug says. And yet, somehow, in his office is always full of Quick Trip cups and straws.
Hey, has Doug told you guys a story about the Prince of India yet? Oh, we'll get to that later.
So, if you're anywhere near a Quick Trip before 9:30 a.m., be sure you watch out for that silver Volvo, which will be driven until it absolutely cannot be driven anymore, and may or may not be coming right at you at a bat out of hell at 90 miles per hour.
Hey guys, don't forget about the Prince of India.
Yes, to say Doug is frugal would be an understatement. Early in his career, when working on his first project at the 2300 Riverside building, Doug designed a custom sofa for one of the very top floors. When it arrived, it quickly became evident that it was too long to fit in any of the elevators. So what did Doug do? Say he would take it back and fix it? Oh no. Will we make the client wait for a new item? Oh no. He drops the elevator down below the level. We put the sofa on the top of the freight elevator, and Doug rides the elevator on top all the way to the top. The sofa found its new home, and Doug remained frugal.
Hey guys, I can't remember. Did Doug tell you the story about when he hosted the Prince of India?
There's also that time that a client flew him to Nantucket to work on a house and asked him to attend a black tie event sponsored by Women's Wear Daily. Frugal Doug actually purchased a tuxedo and met the editor of Vogue. In Doug's love of classic and timeless design, he is proudly wearing that tuxedo tonight.
Hey guys, did Doug tell you about the Prince? And I don't mean the Prince like purple rain, but like the Prince of India?
Doug is always doing what is needed to keep his clients happy. That is the kind of guy Doug is. He may procrastinate a little, boys, like when David was born and their nursery had not even been painted, nor had a paint color been picked out. Until Myrna went to the hospital, he then started painting. But he will always get his clients' faces looking like $1 million. However, you may not be able to see the floor or the top of the desk in his office, on a regular basis anyway. Never. But for his clients, it's always the best.
Hey guys, did Doug once host the Prince of India? I can't quite remember.
So anyway, Doug may not be the tidiest person, but that's what he has us for. But I can tell you, he is one of the most kind and caring people you'll ever meet. Whether it's a story about his granddaughters, his beloved dogs Tess and now Rhoda, or meeting with Wes and the guys every Friday night, Doug nurtures his relationships with love and passion. He values the people in his life above all else. Well, above all else except maybe chocolate. Granddaughters, chocolate. Granddaughters, chocolate.
Granddaughters.
So now let's talk about the Prince. When the Prince of India came to speak at a couple events here in Tulsa, what a better host than Doug Campbell and Wes Smith. I mean, after all, Doug knows where to be and who to be there with. The Prince was here for roughly 10 days, and with all the things that Doug had planned, as well as his formal engagements, he had quite the royal agenda. Visits to every museum, gatherings at the condo, and visits to the office. The Prince was whisked through town, and multiple friendships were made. And while, yes, we give Doug a really hard time for telling his Prince story multiple times to the same people, at least I don't have that kind of story, so I say, tell it as many times as you want.
So we may joke and poke a little fun. But in all honesty, Doug has been a significant part of my life for almost half a century. Together, we have outlasted the orange shag carpet phase, floral sofas, maybe they're back. Cork floors, print dust skirts, wood paneling. Together, we have outlasted 2 marriages. We have 5 kids, 6 grandchildren between us. But you guys, that means we're older than dirt. Doug still lives its life to its fullest. The social calendar he and Wes keep is the busiest I have ever seen. This means all of you know what a great friend Doug is. He's an extraordinary, generous, and caring man. I was lucky. I just happened to stumble across him as a 21-year-old, wet behind the ears, coming out of the OSU tumbleweeds. I believe in synchronicity, and I believe we're 2 people in the right place at the right time in 1972. I have been the luckiest of all. I got to learn from and work with Doug Campbell for the last 44 years.
Just the fact that you have people who have worked with you and for you for all those years can stand up there and show happiness and pleasure from the experience has got to say something special to make you feel really good. That's just right. That's great.